Welcome to this week's Eternal Monday. Today we're looking at a non-tournament game that took place between Ultra Necrozma and Turbo Darkrai VSTAR. Before we begin, I just want to remind everyone that the Eternal format is a base set onward format with a ban list, so it's like Unlimited, but a little less insane. If you want to learn more about the Eternal format and the cards on its ban list, you can go to justinbasil.com/eternal. Up first, we have Ultra Necrozma. Ultra Necrozma is a card from Cosmic Eclipse that has the attack Luster of Downfall for Psychic Metal. It does 170 damage, and you discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. That effect can be extremely devastating, as we'll see in this game. And then Ultra Necrozma has a negative ability that makes it so that it cannot attack unless your opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards remaining. The good thing is here, we have Garbodor, and Garbodor has the ability Garbotoxin. When it has a tool attached to it, all abilities except for Garbotoxin are shut off. That means that hostile ability on Necrozma goes away and it can attack even if your opponent has more than 2 prize cards. Pretty good stuff. If you've played Expanded at all, you probably recognize Ultra Necrozma, as this list is not crazy different from the expanded version of that deck. However, unfortunately, unlike an Expanded, the stadium card that Ultra Necrozma relies on, Silent Lab, is banned. So Silent Lab is not accessible for Ultra Necrozma in the Eternal format. So it is very reliant on getting Garbotoxin out and powered up. So Garbotoxin shuts off Ultra Necrozma's ability, which allows it to attack. Double Dragon Energy powers it up with a single attachment. Luster of Downfall does that 170. You also have Counter Energy if you're behind on prize cards. And if you also are behind on prize cards, you have access to things like Twins to get your stuff back. Teammates if your opponent knocked out one of your Pokemon last turn. And then you have some other fancy things like Life Dew to make it so that your opponent can't take a prize card if they knock out a Pokemon with Life Dew attached to it, because all of your Pokemon would be single prizers. But when you have a -1 with Life Dew, they all become 0 prizers when knocked out. So because of that, you're running 4 copies of Lana's Fishing Rod, both to get Ultra Necrozma's back, but also to get Life Dew and Floatstone or even Cessation Crystal back. Speaking of Cessation Crystal is a tool card that shuts off all Pokemon powers. So that's all Pokebodies and Pokepowers, which means basically if your opponent's deck is reliant on something like Claydol for draw, they suddenly don't have access to that Pokepower. This means that the evil boogeyman of the format, Banette Vileplume, won't be able to do as much against you because unfortunately the primary Vileplume in that deck has a Pokebody to shut off your access to your item cards. And what's more, Garbotoxin shuts off the ability of the other Vileplume that would shut off access to your item cards. So basically, either way, you're going to have access to your item cards. Base Center also means that cards like Mew suddenly don't have access to their Pokebody to copy attacks from the Lost Zone. All in all, Ultra Necrozma is a highly disruptive deck. But today, Ultra Necrozma isn't going against Banette Vileplume or even Lost Link Box with Mew. It's going against Turbo Darkrai VSTAR. Turbo Darkrai VSTAR is, of course, Darkrai VSTAR, but with some Eternal flavoring. It has access to Holland's Magaton that allows it to swap a energy attached to one of the Pokemon into a double Rainbow energy. Pretty effective stuff. It also means, because it's a Pokemon, that special energy is searchable via Ultra Ball. Additionally, it has access to Darkrai EX that allows it to have free retreat for every Pokemon that has a Darkness energy attached to it. It has access to Darkrai GX with its Restoration ability to pull Darkrai GX from the discard pile into play with the Darkness energy attached to it. You have Galarian Moltres V. Galarian Moltres V, of course, has that Dire Flame Wings ability that allows it to attach an energy to itself each turn from your discard pile. You have Squawkabilly to nuke your hand and draw 6 cards on your first turn. And you have the Baby Moltres that has its ability that allows you to attach 2 energy to it from your hand when you play it down onto your bench. That is basically an effective +60 when played down for your main attacker, which itself, of course, is Darkrai VSTAR. Its attack does 30 damage plus 30 damage more for each Darkness energy you have in play. Speaking of Darkness energy in play, we have yet another way to get some energy in play. Scramble Energy. Scramble Energy, this deck runs 2 copies, is very similar to Reversal Energy, except it can be attached to Pokemon with a rule box, except for Pokemon e, x, so Pokemon X. So you can attach Scramble Energy to Darkrai VSTAR, and when you're behind on prize cards, that Scramble Energy not only fulfills your attack costs, but adds an instant 90 damage to your attack. Additionally, you have stuff like Dark Patch that you're used to seeing in standard format, Battle Compressor to quickly get Darkness Energy in the discard pile, Dowsing Machine to also help get some Darkness Energy in the discard pile from your hand, and of course to recover a item or other trainer card from your discard pile, Luxury Ball to seek out whatever it is you happen to need Pokemon-wise, and Skyfield to ensure that you have enough bench space to absolutely flood play with Darkness Energy. And last but not least, you have access to Crobat V that lets you draw more cards with its Dark Asset ability. Dark Asset you draw until you have 6 cards in your hand, so you'll use something like Dowsing Machine or Ultra Ball to thin cards out of your hand, and then play down Crobat V to draw a bunch of cards. Alright, now that we've looked at both decks, let's jump into the game. All right. Getting shuffled up and set up. I am in this game the Ultra Necrozma player. I mulliganed way too many times. You can actually see the 4 counter on my opponent's deck there. Not great, but it was what it was. Starting Ultra Necrozma not too bad. Getting the Trubbish out also very good. My opponent starting with 2 Darkrai V and a Squawkabilly, pretty great. I also have a couple energy to attach to that Moltres with its ability. And a manual attachment on the Darkrai. And I think that's a... No, not a clean. I was going to say, is that a clean Squawk and Skis? But not quite, no. They are going to play Battle Compressor there, discarding 3 Darkness Energies, and another Battle Compressor, discarding 3 more. So 6 Darkness Energy in the discard pile, basically immediately on turn 1. Lots of room for some dark patches here. Do you see Luxury Ball coming down and Galarian Moltres V coming down with it? It's interesting that my opponent has put so many Darkness Energy in play because really they only need like 4, I believe it is, to knock out the Ultra Necrozmas. So they may have gone a little too turbo, but I guess it's practice for when they actually need to go that turbo. It does seem a little bit overkill. We do see a Dark Patch on the bench, Darkrai VSTAR. A Quick Ball, can't quite tell what that is discarding there. But they are going to go to Crobat. So we do see the Crobat. I think that Crobat's going to come down here. Yep. If I remember right, they draw 3 cards off the Crobat. Yep. And we see a Skyfield. Skyfield pretty good. Lets that bench go up to 8. We see an Ultra Ball getting yet another Pokemon out. This time 1 for next turn. If I could have punished this, I think I should have. Did you see that Darkrai VSTAR go to the hand there? And a pass. So they're passing on to me. I'm looking at my hand going, this is a hand. Not the greatest hand, but I do have Guzman Hala to start out. So going to use the Guzman Hala, get a Space Center, a Double Dragon Energy, and I think I got Life Dew. It was either Life Dew or... it was either Life Dew or the Floatstone. Don't remember when I got off the first. Oh, choosing not to get the Space Center, getting the Artisan instead. That's actually probably a very good decision. Yeah, getting a Life Dew. So Life Dew, Artisan, and Double Dragon Energy, throwing the Artisan into play. And I'm going to go ahead and get another Ultra Necrozma out with the Artisan. Yeah. Pretty good stuff. Having 2 of those out is definitely good. All right, we see the Life Dew come out and attach to that Ultra Necrozma in the active spot, and a Double Dragon Energy go down on the bench, Ultra Necrozma. An attachment on the Ultra Necrozma on the bench is not a mistake. Unfortunately, I can't attack this turn. I don't have a way to shut off its hostile ability. It makes it so I can't attack unless my opponent has 2 or fewer prize cards, and I don't have Garbodor out to do that. So I'm going to just have to pass. My opponent does a Dire Flame Wings on their Galarian Moltres, and that's all they can do. They pass to me. And I'm immediately luxury balling for a Garbodor. Got Garbotoxin live, or at least it will be live once I touch a tool. And like magic, there's the Floatstone. I will be able to attack this turn if I can find an energy for that active Ultra Necrozma, attaching Cessation Crystal to the other Necrozma. Can I find the energy? I got a Nest Ball, just a couple searches there. I see another Trubbish and another Ultra Necrozma down. This deck really needs the Garbodors out. I learned that in a game prior to this that we may see on the channel in the future. Without the access to the Stadium card that shuts off abilities, the abilities of Basic Silent Lab, it's really hard if your opponent knocks out one of your Garbodor. So getting 2 out as fast as possible is super important. My opponent really likes Clara this game. They are going to play the Clara to get a couple of Darkness Energy and a Darkrai EX out. They're going to go ahead and attach manually to the benched Darkrai VSTAR. They are not attacking. I am attacking, though. Going to go in with that Mysterious Treasure for another Necrozma. Really don't want to run out of Ultra Necrozmas. Just want to keep them flowing, keep them constantly attacking each turn so that I can keep up on the prize trade. I'm going to Versus Seeker the Guzma and then gust up that benched one. So my logic here, and I'm not entirely sure this is right, honestly. I probably should have just knocked out the active one, but I think this kind of helped me later on, maybe. Is to just make it so he doesn't have the energy he needs to take the knockout or to waste energy attachments on, or force him to not waste energy attachments, right? And I don't know if that really worked out. He had the energy in hand with the Clara last turn, so sure. I mean, it wasn't that good, honestly. The play didn't really work out, but the idea was kind of there. I probably should have just taken the knockout on the Darkrai VSTAR that was gusted away. He does knock out my Ultra Necrozma, and since I kind of stupidly had gusted up his Pokemon and put my Life Dew on the bench, he got to take a prize card. I put the Cessation Crystal, I believe that was. So it was just a Cessation Crystal, and I went ahead and Arizoned out the Ultra Necrozma back. So it's now all 4 of them are in play, and I do still 2, Trubbish and a Garbodor down. Gonna see a attachment Double Dragon to the benched Ultra Necrozma. The Ultra Necrozma with the Life Dew in the active spot. I am going to take the knockout finally. My opponent rather curiously chooses to promote the damaged Darkrai VSTAR with no energy instead of the Galarian Moltres with energy. We do see a Field Blower come down on both on Life Dew and on, I think that's the Floatstone that got whacked. Yeah, the Floatstone and the Garbodor got whacked. Okay, this is me explaining to my opponent that he can't actually attach that Magneton. So Holland's Magneton, you have to bump an energy that's already attached to the Pokemon to attach it. He didn't realize that, so he went ahead and swapped out with the Scramble energy he had in his hand, which does work because he's still behind on prize cards. He has 5 prize cards. I have 4. So it can be attached to an evolution Pokemon. Darkrai VSTAR is an evolution Pokemon, which means it immediately powers up that Darkrai VSTAR in the active spot. We see the Clara come down again, getting a Darkrai VSTAR and a Darkness energy. Pretty good stuff. Yeah, we see the Galarian Moltres once again pulling an energy into play. That Galarian Moltres could be an attacker at this point. It already has enough energy, but it hasn't been used at all. I think actually my opponent kind of misplays later actually with that. I do see that second Garbodor come down. That is extremely good for me. Very glad to see that second Garbodor. I'm going to shuffle back in the Necrozma and that was the Floatstone, I'm pretty sure. I was realizing I needed another tool for the Garbodor. I'm going to go and play that Teammates using the Teammates. I believe I got a Versus Seeker and the Floatstone back. Nope. Nope. Special Charge was definitely one of those, as I know I didn't have that in my hand. So it would have been Special Charge and maybe the Floatstone for. Oh, the other Garbodor has a tool attached to it still. Okay, so I didn't need it that turn. So yeah, I got the Special Charge and Versus Seeker in case he has Field Blower. Remember, I have to have a tool attached to Garbodor to turn on Garbotoxin to shut off Necrozma's hostile ability so that it can attack. And then I'm gonna attack, taking out that active Darkrai VSTAR. Opponent's going to promote the Darkrai V without the second energy, but at least he has another one to attack and the evolution. The Moltres not being used still. Our Field Blower whacked both my Floatstone and my Artisan. Artisan not super critical at this point. I kind of have my Necrozmas in play. I'm fine there. I did get my special energies back in. The Double Dragons went back into the deck with the Special Charge last turn. I have access to Versus Seeker because I got it off the Teammates last turn, so I'm able to use Teammates again this turn. This turn now I do need a tool. So I do have to get a Floatstone, and a Double Dragon energy would probably be really good at this point. I'm not sure if that's what I went for. I actually can't remember whether or not I had Double Dragon energy in hand at this point or not. I kind of don't think so, because I think I'm going for one off the Teammates there. Yeah, got the energy for sure. So the Double Dragon energy, the Floatstone going on the Garbodor. Going to hit into the active VSTAR, knocking off an energy again with that Luster of Downfall attack. 170 damage. This time he's going to do it the right way. He's going to bounce the Darkness energy attached to Darkrai into his hand to attach to Holland's Magneton. So now he does have the necessary energy to attack with that Darkrai VSTAR. We see him once again going for Clara, getting back an energy and Darkrai VSTAR. And then we see his attack once again knock out my Ultra Necrozma. I promote the Garbodor. Garbodor, pretty good stuff. That Versus Seeker putting in a ton of work this game, and Teammates just being super good. In fact, that Teammates has given me the attack, which has given me game. I will say in this list, I'm currently running a 1-1 split of Teammates and Twins. I think I'm probably just going to go to 2 copies of Teammates. Twins, I don't know if that's actually that useful. The idea behind the inclusion of Twins was to make it possible to still get cards out of my deck as I needed, even if my opponent didn't necessarily knock out something the turn prior, but I was behind on prize cards. In practice, I don't know if that's actually been that common, but I'm going to play some more games with the deck before I decide to just go down to 2 copies of Teammates only. For now, it's a 1-1 split, and I don't hate it, but it's probably not necessary. Well, that is it for today's game. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you happen to be in the San Antonio area on November 11th, you can join us for the next Eternal Format special event. Deck validation and registration will begin at 11 a.m., and the tournament itself will begin at noon. With that out of the way, I thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video.